UFC 265, Lewis versus Gane took place last night and it's now in the rearview mirror. It's time to start looking forward. This is every single fight to make after UFC 265. I've got all of the key fighters from the card on the screen right now, and you may notice there is an empty box next to all of them. That's where their next opponent is going to go. I've got them hidden around the perimeter of the screen, and I'll slowly place them where they belong on the screen as the video goes on. Let's waste no more time and start straight away with the main event winner, Ciryl Gane. I'm not even going to long this out and try and tease anything. You know it's Francis Ngannou next. It's got to be Ngannou versus Gane. I watched a couple of shows where people are talking about maybe they don't do that fight next and they try and do something else. It's an interim belt. It's basically the golden ticket to the champion. You have to do Ngannou versus Gane next. I know Ngannou's probably going to want more money and try and play a bit of a negotiation game. You don't really have that option anymore. The reason why the interim belt was made was basically to corner Ngannou into having to defend against one of his top contenders, and that is Ciryl Gane right now. The storyline is there. Ciryl Gane versus Francis Ngannou. They used to be training partners. Ciryl Gane is now taught by the guy who showed Ngannou everything he knew at the start of his game. Great storyline here. Really looking forward to it. Maybe we get a little bit of beef here and there. Who knows? Maybe Ngannou says he got the better of the sparring at the press conference and Ciryl Gane remembers it differently. They start going back and forth. I feel like Ciryl Gane versus Ngannou is the best fight to make, and also there aren't many fighters who would be a favourite against Ngannou or even close in odds at this point. I do believe that Gane might be a slight betting favourite over Ngannou. Maybe they'd be evens. Maybe Ngannou would be a slight favourite himself. Either way, it's an extremely competitive fight, not just in terms of the fight itself, but how the fight is perceived, and that's always going to create a lot of excitement for a bout. It's always not too exciting whenever you see a massive favourite going into a bout. It's always good when you see some even odds. But yeah, Ciryl Gane versus Francis Ngannou, amazing matchup. I'm so glad that Ciryl Gane won, because watching Derrick Lewis's performance, if he had fluked a one-punch KO in round 4 against Ciryl Gane that night, I wouldn't pick him against Ngannou. The way he looked out there against Gane, I'm glad Gane got the win. Let's move on to the other fights on the card that we might not know about who's next for them. Derrick Lewis lost in the main event. He's going to continue to fight. Derrick Lewis gets a lot of money from the UFC. He has got a real big contract on his hands. I think he earns about 700k, 800k every single fight. Only going to go up as well as he continues to fight. Derrick Lewis, in my opinion, should take on Stipe Miocic. Now, I had a lot of people saying things like, no, doesn't make any sense. Stipe's fighting Jon Jones, but that's not happening. We know that. Jon Jones is not going to fight Stipe Miocic, especially because there's no belt on the line. I feel like Jon Jones is looking for a one and done, perfect legacy, get the GOAT status, and then just leave without any risk in between. I don't think he's going to accept the Stipe Miocic fight, and he also said that he wasn't going to, and Dana White said that Jon Jones had not accepted it either. So I think Derrick Lewis, Stipe Miocic makes all the sense in the world. Both of them are huge names as well. A lot of people said that maybe they should do Stipe Miocic versus Alexander Volkov. Volkov just signed a fight with Marcin Tybura at the end of October. So Derrick Lewis, Stipe Miocic, main event of a fight night in December, January, February, around those months, late this year or early next year, and I think it'll be a great matchup for Stipe as well. And if I'm Stipe Miocic and I'm watching what Ciryl Gane just did to Derrick Lewis and the way Derrick Lewis looked, I'm liking my chances against Derrick Lewis. And even better yet, the winner of that fight will be right back in the title picture. So that's a good one for both of them. If Derrick Lewis beats Stipe Miocic, he's already beaten Curtis Blades, Alexander Volkov as well. He'll be right back in the title picture, and he has a win over Ngannou as well. That still remains. So if Ngannou beats Ciryl Gane and Derrick Lewis beats Stipe Miocic, they could just make that fight again. So if I'm Derrick Lewis, I'm looking at Stipe Miocic. I think it's a perfect matchup for both of them. Stipe needs a little bit more time off. I'm sure he's going to come back later this year or early next year. Derrick Lewis, going to need a little bit of time off now as well, but I'm sure he wants to turn around reasonably quickly, at least within the next 6 months. Derrick Lewis, Stipe Miocic, maybe even as like the main card opener or the feature fight for like an Ngannou versus Gane card. That would be amazing. That way you could maybe say, hey, if anything happens to the main event, Stipe, take this Derrick Lewis fight. If anything happens in the main event and one of the guys falls out, we'll move you up and you can take on the guy in the main event and fill in for them. That'd be a great way to incentivize getting Stipe to sign that fight. Great matchup, make it happen. Moving on to the co-main event's winner, the King of Rio is back. Jose Aldo looking better than ever against Pedro Munoz. His next opponent, a lot of people are talking about Dillashaw, including Jose Aldo. Dillashaw beat Corey Sandhagen. Whatever you feel about the decision, he's got time off. He's got a bad knee. He's got to recover from that. He's also got a cut over his eye, but that's a little bit easier to recover from. He's going to be out for a bit of a long time, and I feel like his schedule works perfectly to come back and take on the winner of Ngane versus Aldo. And plus, if Petr Yan beats Aldo, he's already said that he's going to call out Dillashaw. He was going to call out Dillashaw if he officially beat Aldo the first time as well. So I think Yan's going to call out Dillashaw. They're going to make that bout. So I think that Jose Aldo should take on Rob Font, or Fobront as he's otherwise known as. Rob Font, Jose Aldo, two top contenders in the bantamweight division. Both guys on win streaks right now. They're both one fight away from a title shot, in my opinion. I think there should be a title elimination bout with both of them. I know Corey Sandhagen is in the mix, but I think Sandhagen should maybe sit out for a bit, heal up himself, because it was a scrap back and forth with him and Dillashaw. Take some time, wait for the loser of Aldo versus Yan, maybe something like that to get his title shot. But for right now, keep Aldo active. 5-round main event between him and Rob Font at the end of December. Fight night main event between Aldo and Rob Font. Last card of the year. Maybe the start of next year in January. I just want to see Jose Aldo go 5 rounds. That's all I want from Jose Aldo. I need to see him in a main event. I know that probably Jose Aldo is going to start talking about how he wants to be on a pay-per-view and he wants to be in a co-main event of a fight night, because Aldo does that kind of stuff. He'll position himself on a card in a lower position just to make sure he doesn't have to go 5 rounds. But watching him do an amazing 3rd round against Pedro Munoz and have his best volume output in any fight ever in a 3-rounder, I feel like Aldo needs to fight for 5 rounds. I need to see him go 5 rounds before I start talking about him beating the top guys. He can beat those top guys, any of them, in a 3-rounder. Maybe even Petr Yan. Those first 3 rounds against Yan the first time were very close. But I just need to see proof of 5-round Aldo not gassing out in rounds 4 and 5. And then there'll be real buzz about Aldo fighting for the belt at bantamweight. And if Rob Font wins against Jose Aldo, he just shows that he's on another level technical striking-wise. And he puts himself in that mix as well. Rob Font, Jose Aldo, main event of a fight night at the end of December. Make that fight happen immediately. It's great. It's a great matchup. Moving on to the loser of the co-main event, Pedro Munoz. Little bit of a setback for him in his career, but he's still, if he gets one big win, he's right back in the mix at this point in Pedro Munoz's career. I doubt he has many fights left. Losing that one's going to lose a lot of momentum for him getting towards that belt, and he is 34 years of age. I think it's time to sacrifice him and try and get rid of him. I know it sounds mean, but this is just how it has to be. You've got to make the most of Munoz's name value that he has, as little as it might be, to maybe build another guy coming up the division. And there's a fight coming up soon, within a couple of weeks. Ricky Simone versus Timo Valiev. I believe Ricky Simone's going to win that fight because he's too big for Valiev. I think Pedro Munoz versus Ricky Simone would be an amazing scrap, back and forth. The grappling would cancel each other out, and I think it would just be a scrap on the feet for all 3 rounds. Amazing matchup. Pedro Munoz, Ricky Simone. Sign me up. Ricky Simone arguably should be ranked right now in the bantamweight division. He beat Merab Dvalishvili. He's beaten ranked opponents. He's beaten a lot of good guys. I know he lost to Uriah Faber, and that is going to hold him back in the rankings. But Ricky Simone is doing great work every single fight he goes out there. Had a close loss to Rob Font as well, which was a very, very close fight, even though Font got the better of it. Pedro Munoz, Ricky Simone, make that matchup next. Feature fight of a fight night card, headliner of a prelims of a pay-per-view card, whatever they want to do. Moving on to the feature fight, Vicente Luque got a big Darce choke submission win in the first round against Michael Chiesa. Sounds crazy to say, but that happened because it's Vicente Luque. I think Luque, I know he called out for a title shot against Usman. You're not going to get a title shot against Usman, let's be real. There's Leon Edwards who's beaten you. And I think this is where we make a statement. No more fucking friends. No more friends. This is the Ultimate Fighting Championship, okay? No more friends. This is where we make it happen. Luque, Gilbert Burns, I'm sick of this friend thing. It's so annoying. Benil Dariush, oh, I can't fight Justin Gaethje, he's my friend. Your fighters, shut the fuck up and fight each other. There's not much room in the top 5 anyway. This is the perfect matchup to make, and if the only reason why this matchup can't be made is because they're friends, I don't give a fuck, dude. I really don't give a fuck. If neither of them take on each other, they're going to have to win 2 more fights to get towards the belt. That's just how it's going to have to be. No more fucking friends in this game. Gane's going to be fighting Ngane, and they were friends at one point. I know Luque and Burns are very close, and in fact, Burns was in Luque's corner, but I think there's some storyline to be taken advantage of here. Gilbert Burns had a real issue against Usman because he found it weird to be fighting his friend, and he got a little bit emotional out there. What better way to prove that you're ready for an Usman rematch by taking on another friend of yours and showing that you can cope taking on a guy that you're close with and have a relationship with. Luque versus Burns, similar positions in the rankings. Winner gets a title shot in the welterweight division. If they want a title shot after one more fight, that's the fight they're going to make. I know they're going to try and find a way around it, but I just don't see a way around it. I think they're going to do Leon Edwards versus Jorge Masvidal. And that leaves Burns versus Luque, because Wonderboy ain't going to be taking on the winner of any of those matchups. He just lost to Burns. He won't be taking on Luque. He's coming off a loss. It's got to be Luque versus Burns. No more fucking friends. We're making that matchup now. Main event of a fight night with a solid co-main. Moving on to the loser of the feature fight, Michael Chiesa. Lost by submission in the first round against Vicente Luque. Not the best performance by Michael Chiesa, but he had some moments. Almost choked out Luque in the first round. Showed that he's still capable of doing some good stuff in the welterweight division. So, just spoke about Gilbert Burns. Similar schedules. Michael Chiesa versus Stephen Thompson. This is a great fight. It could be the main event of a fight night. It could open up the main card of a pay-per-view. This could be anything. Co-main event of an even better fight night. Who knows? Michael Chiesa, Stephen Thompson, December fight night card. I can already see it already. Jose Aldo versus Rob Font in the main event. December 15th or whatever it is going to be before Christmas. The last card of the year. Aldo versus Rob Font main event. 5 rounds. Co-main event. Michael Chiesa versus Stephen Thompson. Put whatever you want on the rest of the card. That card will be done. Those 2 fights are big enough to make a fight night card. Michael Chiesa, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Great matchup, and a good style matchup for Chiesa if he wants to take down Thompson. And for Thompson, who says he's staying in the welterweight division, this is a top-ranked guy. If you win, you're looking for title elimination bouts again. And also, Thompson showed that he lost in the grappling against Gilbert Burns. And you kind of need to show that you're going to fix that problem. By beating Michael Chiesa and stuffing a couple of takedowns, you show that you can defeat that problem of a grappler taking you down. So I think Michael Chiesa, Stephen Thompson... No more fucking friends. Luque versus Burns. I'm sick of this fucking friendship shit. We ain't in fucking nursery anymore. Moving on. Tecia Torres got a big win on the main card against Angela Hill. I think her next opponent should be Yan Xiaonan, a top 5 opponent in the strawweight division. I think what they should do right now is Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk in the main event of a fight night. That leaves Yan Xiaonan in the top 5 as the only opponent that could be maybe picked up and taken on. Tecia Torres, Yan Xiaonan. What more is there to say? You know what I'm saying? I like the matchup. Other than that, it's probably Claudia Gadelha or something like that, and she's coming off some losses, including a loss to Yan Xiaonan. So, if Tecia Torres wants the best opponent possible, Tecia Torres, Yan Xiaonan, co-main event of a feature fight of a fight night, maybe a main card of a pay-per-view or a headliner of the prelims of a pay-per-view. Tecia Torres in a real good position. Great performance as well, by the way. Showed that she's really got some skills in the women's strawweight division. Her versus Yan Xiaonan would be a perfect matchup right now, and a good stand-up fight as well. Or, if Torres wants to take her down, Torres could probably take her down, but Yan Xiaonan could show that she's worked on her takedown defense. Who knows? Moving on. Rafael Fiziev got a good win over Bobby Green. Weird scorecard with a 30-27. Definitely a pre-written rigging. 29-28 I can understand for Fiziev. I think he did win the fight 2 rounds to 1. Rafael Fiziev, in my opinion, should be looking for Hasbulla. Amazing matchup. Really amazing matchup. And it just makes sense at this point, you know what I mean? Like, Rafael Fiziev has shown that he's above the level of, like, UFC top 30 guys. And once you've shown that you're above the top 30 guys in the world, you're looking at Hasbullahs. You know what I mean? Like, that's where that's the next limit. I know that maybe now Rafael Fiziev has called out Hasbullah. He's going to need some, like, 24/7 surveillance and stuff like that before he goes missing in the middle of the night, because no one calls out Hasbullah disrespectfully. That's all I'll say. But I feel like it's a good matchup. I'm joking. Move away, Hasbullah. The matchup is Carlos Diego Ferreira versus Rafael Fiziev. I think it's a great scrap. Carlos Diego Ferreira in about 5 weeks is taking on Grant Dawson. If he wins that one, I think Carlos Diego Ferreira should welcome a guy up from the unranked area again. I think maybe Rafael Fiziev could be ranked number 15 instead of Thiago Moises after his win this weekend. We'll see what happens with the rankings. Rafael Fiziev, winner of Diego Ferreira versus Grant Dawson. I believe it's going to be Carlos Diego Ferreira. That's why I've put his name here. Rafael Fiziev, Carlos Diego Ferreira. Great matchup, great scrap. We'll see how good Rafael Fiziev's takedown defenses because Fiziev can grapple a little bit and push a good pace as well, so that'd be good to see. After this one, though, I want to see Fiziev fight for 5 rounds. Just somehow. In the main event of a fight night against a top 10 guy, if he gets there, who knows. Fiziev's got some cardio problems. I'd like to see those resolved or tested. Who knows? Rafael Fiziev, Carlos Diego Ferreira. Moving on to the last fights that I have made. Song Yudong got a big win over Casey Kenny. I think his next matchup should be Howley and Paver. Because, although it doesn't make much sense, I can't think of anyone else to give him because they're all too high up the rankings. He's still a young guy, so is Howley and Paver. And also, Song Yudong lost to Kyler Phillips, and Howley and Paver now has a win over Kyler Phillips, even though it was a draw. So, Song Yudong, Howley and Paver, winner keeps a good position in the rankings of the bantamweight division, around 14 or 15. Then the winner of that one between those two, Yudong and Howley and Paver, can start looking towards the top 10, the early teens of the bantamweight division, the Jimmy Riveras, the Marlon Veras, the Dominic Cruzes, maybe, who knows. Song Yudong, Howley and Paver, good matchup to make. Winner gets a ranking spot in the bantamweight division, and that's all the fights to make after UFC 265. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.